Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 642 on Tuesday, the 29th of July, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear us discuss an idiom that's something to do with breweries. In new car news, you'll get to hear if we're off into uncharted territories. And in points of interest, you get to learn a bit about a model man. But first, we have some follow-up. And right, strap yourselves in, everybody.
We've got quite a lot of follow-up, really.
We've got follow-up, a lot of follow-up on the electric car grant. I will start with the first article that is from Autocar that is titled, EVs eligible for the new £3,750 grant will be confirmed on the 11th of August.
And before you go any further, when did the EV electric car grant come into being?
16th of July.
16th of July to the 11th of August. There's a grant, it's there, but nobody knows what's eligible. That's kind of where we're going, isn't it?
I look forward in about 3 to 4 months of seeing there being a drop in registrations due to cars, people going, I'm not buying, or I'm not taking that car, or hold off registering it until after we know whether I can get the grant because it's upon registration. And it's like, wow, I was talking about breweries. And I didn't mention the first part because I just don't want to have to edit myself, but it really is something to do with how this government can't manage it in a brewery. It's
another example, and we're going to go in, there's another couple of articles about this, but I need to get it out my system as well. And when I need to get it out my system as well as Andrew needs to get it out of his system, it's quite bad generally. It's just this rushing through of populist, let's try and make ourselves popular with people policies, which are just not thought through. The impacts, nobody's considered them, but it's something we can announce.
Yep.
And that's what's happened here. I mean, obviously I'm talking about the Online Safety Act, which is just, again, another feat of ridiculousness.
Well, what's clear is they are not listening to any experts.
No. Well, why would politicians want to listen to experts, Andrew?
We were told nobody likes listening to experts. But it's seriously harmful because it's wasting so much time, it's wasting so much money, It's wasting so much effort. Not just ours, by the way, not just you and me, not just our listeners who have to listen to us say, by the way, there's all these problems, but it's the industry, it's the government, it's the Renry doing it. It's just ridiculous. Just pause. I'm considering how long this has been talked about as possibly happening.
Yeah.
You would think it would land, I'm not expecting perfect, but I'm expecting it to be at least 90, 95% there. And this is not close to even 50% there, with all the problems that are involved.
No, agreed.
Fully expect people to hold back on purchasing or taking their car, demanding their car's not registered, waiting now before they go and say to a dealer, right, I want to buy this car because now I can see it's on the list as eligible. Just madness.
But on the flip side of this, though, car makers themselves and dealers and whoever else can self-register their EVs and they can get paid the government grant themselves.
Yes. And that brings up the fear that I mentioned last week about how there could be an abuse on the fleet side of things, even though the number of vehicles, when I discussed this last week, and it's good this is in follow-up because I thought about it further after the show, I said that I didn't think it would be much with fleets, but then I forgot that someone like Motability is a fleet.
That's true.
Or the rental, and they will be targeting cars under £37,000. I was automatically thinking of only business-type fleets, and whilst, yes, for benefit in kind, it totally favours the higher and middle managers, it does not favour the people doing the actual work lower down the rungs. That this will change. Remembering that Motability and higher does change that.
And that's a great point, especially for Motability. I don't know that it'll make such a difference to benefit in kind type stuff for employees because that's all calculated off the list price.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is benefit in kind is predominantly more beneficial to someone on a 40% tax rate as opposed to a 20% tax rate.
Yeah.
If you're in the 40%, you're looking generally on your list at the 50, 60, 70, 80,000 pound cars, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. And if you're in that area, then you're not. You're looking at an iX3, for example, which is well outside.
And you've got enough benefits as it stands, honestly.
Well, you would think so, yes.
But as you point out here, though, in another Autocar article, all these articles will be linked in the show note. There is quite a list in the show notes here. It allows fleets to disproportionately, once again, gain, but also it allows manufacturers who are targeted with hitting the zero-emission vehicle mandate, and everyone keeps saying 28%. Got to remember that's quite fluid for the next couple of years because of the way that they can push things out and stretch certain figures because the government decided to be flexible on that.
Yeah.
The 28% is important. It's not critical as long as they're moving in the right directions. But what this does is if fleets pre-reg and everything, we're paying for them to hit the zero-emission vehicle mandate.
Yeah.
So hang on. So not only have I got the option of paying for someone to buy a new car that I expect a thank you from everyone who buys a new car, but now I'm going to help companies indirectly hit their targets that they're mandated to do.
And that they get fined if they don't reach.
Yeah. See the last point we were discussing about not thinking it through. And talking of which, just moving on, because there is a few we've got to get through on this.
There are a few, yeah, I know. We're peaking too soon here.
There is an article from motortrader.com that says Indicator reveals limited market impact of electric car grant. Now, it talks about how it feels. These are a motoring-related data processing company, and they feel, thanks to using the live example that we've had recently in Italy trying to do this, that it will make approximately between 5.8 and 14.4% of annual battery electric vehicle sales, depending on the tier. The 14.4 will probably be the 1,500 grant, and the 5.8 will be the £3,750 level or tier. They just don't feel, as we question, because there's such a limited number of vehicles at the moment.
A limited number of vehicles that qualify. Models that qualify. Yeah.
Yes, because I was making the point about cars and models last week anyway, so I should stick to that. But yes, the ones that qualify, and whilst that might increase a little bit between now and 2029, it's not massively. It almost, when you read that article, you see everything else, you almost feel like this is a performative assistance package. It's like we look like we're doing something, but in fact, are we? And I wonder how much of the 650 million will be left at the end of it. But another important part of this article here is they talk about depreciation. And when they talk about depreciation, which we've mentioned repeatedly, it is a big issue for EVs, even though there are some EV evangelists who decry that that's a problem. And it's great for second-hand buyers, which is madness, but okay. Well, particularly if you can consider something slightly larger than just that particular aspect. They talk about the depreciation is not only going to hit the cars that are going to be eligible.
Yeah.
It's going to hit the cars all around, even if they aren't eligible, because people will go in. Because, most people out there, and I know this is a shock to all of us and to everyone listening and to me and Alan, that most people don't really care about cars. And I find that very hurtful, and I think they're wrong. But that is the way the world is, and it's not a fair world.
Well, if people did care about cars, then there'll be far fewer white Tesla Model 3s on the road.
Yes.
Far fewer white Audis on the road.
Absolutely. Well, they will go into their second-hand dealer and go, why is that much? It should have £3,750 off it, shouldn't it? And they'll go, well, no, because this one wasn't. Well, okay, I don't want that one then. I want this one over here that's got the money off. And they also talk about how nearly new, so the cars that have been bought just in the last couple of months, 6 months or so, they will be impacted heavily by this, and depreciation has already dropped further than people were expecting again. The average EV second-hand car is down 55% of original cost from 62% at the beginning of the year. You
can bet that the big fleet and leasing companies will not be delighted by this either.
No. Watch the monthlies go up dramatically. Alan, I've talked about all the people who are getting involved in the grant, and I've hinted that there's companies and cars that will not be eligible. Has anybody done anything about that?
Well, yeah, there's a whole list of them, and the list we've got is from autotrader.co.uk. And yes, companies are already introducing offers to reduce the prices on vehicles. Companies such as Leap Motor, MG, GWM, Aura. I mean, some of these you wouldn't necessarily want to choose anyway. Alfa Romeo, Hyundai, Volvo, who else? Skywell, whoever the heck they are getting in there. But again, this just hurts depreciation for everyone around the place. I mean, not everyone's offering the same kind of prices and stuff. For example, Volvo is offering £1,500 off EX30 and EX30 cross countries and throwing in a complimentary Ohm home charger. I imagine that's for standard installation. But there's also money off the EX40 and the EC40 if you sign up for a PCP. That might have been going to happen anyway because they're not really rushing off the shelves. Others, Hyundai, for example, you can get £3,750 off the Insta, which is an absolute steal. Go and buy them. The Kona Electric Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and the Ioniq 9 will have a £1,500 discount. But honestly, £3,750 off an Insta.
Wow, that's a remarkable amount of money off.
And Insta was already slightly more expensive than the competition, but it was better. There was more kit. And with this, then it brings it to price parity. And it just, why would you not? If you're looking for a small electric car, that's the one to get. But Alpha, for example, the Junior Electrica, which is probably not going to make a huge impact on the world. I say the GWM Aura 3 is not really the greatest write-up. MG, there's £1,500 off privately purchased MGs. MG4 and MG5S. MGS5, pardon me. Again, super popular. Seem to get great write-ups. And Leap Motor is taking money off.
Yeah, they're taking $3,750 off the C10 SUV. That brings it under 30 grand, which is suddenly very competitive.
And a TO3, which is already one of the cheapest EVs you can get, which is fine if you just want to freak people out and drive around locally, is getting £1,500 off.
Well, we've talked about depreciation and everything, and the Independent Motor Dealers Association has actually raised their hand again on a point that was raised last week and what we've raised previously when this is cropped up, is there is no help at all for the second-hand car market. And when you've got the depreciation side of things kicking in as well, this makes it even harder for them. What they're mentioning is that the government could launch a £1,000 voucher towards home charger or equivalent energy credit upon the purchase of a used EV. And that was something I saw several people mention, which made a lot of sense to me, is why are you not helping people install a charger who haven't, or if they can't install a charger, get them money off so that they are not feeling penalised from day one of struggling with the public network. Your mileage may vary on that. You may have a great local public network and it's easy. However, others don't, so you have to remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But dog's dinner, thingy in a brewery,
etc.
Find your own idiom that is not complimentary of how this has been handled.
One last thing is that, of course, naturally the government and HMRC are finding ways to try to get all this money back again. And it looks like they are going to focus on employee car ownership schemes run by dealers and run by manufacturers.
Yeah, we talked about this in October when the autumn statement came out. October, November, I can't remember exactly when that was.
Yeah.
Because it was mentioned then, and we saw that was the first time it sort of came to my mind of what an impact that could potentially have. And now people have thought about it a bit longer, especially as you say, the government have made it very clear, oh yeah, we are really very interested in this.
It will be taxed as a company car if there are any restrictions on how the employee can use it, if the employee isn't the registered keeper, and if there is any form of fixed buyback or onward sale agreement set at the start for the end of the contract. So we shall see what happens there. But yeah,
that has the potential, though. We were discussing before the show, weren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about how this is a great way to get quality approved used vehicles into the system.
Yeah. This hurts people in the sort of nearly new second-hand market. Because, as I said, this helps manufacturers. Well, it can help them sort of shift some of the less popular models and get them onto forecourts as used. But it also means that relatively new cars that have been owned and used appear on forecourts in the approved used sections. The big advantage of this for the manufacturer is that there have only been 1 or 2 drivers for the 3 to 6 months that they've been used. They've been maintained meticulously with a full dealer service history, all of these things. Stuff which doesn't happen when it's been out in a rental fleet or something.
There's no guarantee of, should I say.
There's no guarantee of. And there's kind of rules about, well, the amount of damage and these kind of things, which is minimal. Stuff will be as good as it possibly can be when it comes back after a few months or after whatever mileage.
Mm.
The government sort of pretends to give with one hand and takes back with the other one.
Well, I just feel sorry for all the people who work in factories and everything who've managed to get a new car up to now because of this system.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just end.
It looks good for the manufacturers too.
Yeah. If it's advertising as well, isn't it? They're on you suddenly see a load of them on the road, and you go, "Great, I'll have one of those. I like the look of that," or whatever. I've just see so many of them.
Well, yes, obviously, but if you're up round sort of Sunderland and stuff, then every second car's a Nissan, isn't it?
Well, you'd hope,
because everybody's. Well, no, because everybody's on these. Almost everybody's on these schemes.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to take us finally kicking and screaming into new news. So, right, sorry about that, but there was so much we had to catch up on there with follow-up. And the news is pretty grim for Volkswagen, as it has taken a year-on-year drop in profits of 29%. Most of it, pretty much nearly all of it, has been put at the door of the US tariff mess. And the way that has been handled.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the company didn't hit the targets that analysts had expected them to, not even at the lower end of the ranges. I would expect now, because there's just been a deal done with Europe on 15% down from 25%, that analysts will be more accurate because they've now got a fixed number that they're working with.
Bit tricky with Volkswagen. Volkswagen makes quite a lot of vehicles for the North American market in Mexico, where it has obviously traditionally had a very big presence. Does have factories in the southern US as well. But again, they'll be hit by all the steel tariffs and the component tariffs and all of those fun tariffs too. So
at the minute, people know about them going into the quarter as opposed to them cropping up suddenly in the quarter, which makes it a little bit easier to forecast as much as one can at the moment.
Yes, I was about to say, but those, yes, sure, there are some numbers. There is an awareness of tariffs, but who knows what's going to happen to them, whether they go up or down or whatever.
We need to start using Ouija boards or something. Do you want to take us on to the Geely Group?
Not really. Geely's doing stupid stuff again, everyone. The two former CEOs across Geely Group have been shuffled around very much sideways and put out to pasture. Jim Rowan, former Dyson CEO, who then went to Volvo and made Volvo. Well, didn't really help with Volvo much.
No.
Made Volvo even worse, is now going to be CEO. Well, no, he's not. He's now a member of the Group Lotus board, so that will only go well.
Yes, we were worried about Lotus anyway, and now he's just ramped up the worry level, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't help. I mean, at least he's only on the board rather than anything too meaningful.
Yeah.
I'm just reading this quote, and I'm just saying, Rowan wrote on LinkedIn this month, and I'm quoting from Automotive News Europe, by the way, wrote on LinkedIn earlier this month that he had joined the board at Lotus, which he praised for being one of the few car brands today with real heritage, well, it does for the moment, and for having some of the most advanced hybrid and pure EV propulsion and software technology in the world. I would rather they just left that alone, really, for the time being. And Rowan's post added that Lotus had the full support of the Geely Group, which is never a good thing to say about anything. Somebody has full support.
With, like, football managers.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no. The minister has the full support of the Prime Minister. Oh, no. And that leaves it well positioned for the challenges and opportunities that face today's global automotive industry. Oh, dear me, no. Also, Thomas Inglath, who was formerly Polestar CEO, left the company in September, is going to come back to essentially oversee the design across the group, which includes Geely Auto, Zeekr, and Lynk & Co brands, as well as Volvo and Polestar. That's very much in an advisory rather than a managerial role, a Geely spokesman said. Yeah, there we go. Håkan Samuelsson has said nice things about Jim Rowan. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but these days that seems to be a bad thing as well. I've been very down on Volvo today.
You have.
It's nothing personal. It's just,
No, but
you're really messing up, folks.
I know. I was thinking about this because of the next article that's coming in, and I was thinking it feels sometimes we're giving a kicking, but I think it's because we like the idea of the brands so much, and we feel there is such huge potential to be good.
It's easy to kick Leap Motor, for example, because I have no affinity to Leap Motor. I just, there isn't. But in this one where it's like, you should be so good.
Yeah,
you're not. You're really messing stuff up with really silly decisions and statements, which all started from the electrification thing how many years ago under
the autonomous
Samuelson, you know,
and the autonomous,
and then the Google and you see, exactly. There we go.
Anyway, moving on. JLR, it appears, is delaying the Range Rover Electric. It is now, according to its website, going to be released in 2026 when it was expected towards the end of this year. There is an Autocar article linked in the show notes with Will Remmel has written, and the obvious conclusion is this will probably affect the Jaguar rollout. It's going to likely affect the electric Velar. I'd forgotten the Velar existed till I saw one yesterday.
Me too. It is such a non-vehicle.
But I thought it was such a good-looking car at the time.
Yeah.
And now it's just disappeared. I know it was color dependent as well, but there we go. They talk about how it's a lot to do with the changes in demand for EVs. Reading between the lines,
America.
Certain regimes have declared that there is no EVs going to be bought in this country anymore. And we know the US is a big market for JLR products.
It's a massive market.
But they also talk about how it gives them more time for testing, which makes me worried.
It is a
to mention
JLR product,
it, though,
so more
to mention
I know,
it.
the mentioning it's the weird bit in there.
Yeah. Just do it quietly. If you need it and you've got this other reason, but you've given 2 reasons. You don't need to give 2 reasons.
But maybe they're just saying, but you'll have a better product as a result. But
maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying when you hear something like that from JLR.
And I know we have JLR people who listen to the show, and I know that they are very confident and very happy, and they can't wait to show off the products that are behind the scenes. And I can't wait to see them, and I can't wait to be positive about JLR. I really can't.
Again, this is we really care and we want to be great. A wait list of customers, 62,000 people on a wait list for the electric Range Rover.
What does wait list mean?
Who knows? But I don't know.
That's not customers, is it?
Not necessarily, but even if 10,000...
It could be global.
Yeah, it probably is global. But even if a fifth of those turn into customers, that's still quite a lot of people waiting, you know?
Oh, it gets the ball rolling, doesn't it? Yeah.
Still 12,000 folk.
Anyway, we've finally made it to the end of the first half. Don't worry, the second half is packed as well.
I'm exhausted. But in the meantime, that gets us to Guilt Minute, a quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel that Motoring Podcast is worth small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, and we completely understand, then you can help us by following for free from our podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all that, some of you do, so thank you very, very much. Then the last thing you can do is like and subscribe on YouTube, or recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does, and thank you continuing support on the YouTube. That is great.
Yes.
We are inching ever closer to the magic 500, and thank you very much for your support.
Under 50 at the last check.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we go into new car news, Alan.
We do. So we're going to start off. It looks from the pictures that the Infiniti is back and they're introducing the QX50. But no, it turns out it's not that at all. It is the Chery Tiggo 7, which obviously doesn't have a silly name. It is an SUV. It is a small to mid, I think we're going to have to describe it. And it's due in the UK this summer, and it's going to be priced for the internal combustion engine version in basic spec from £24,995, which is impressively
affordable.
Affordable. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, it beats the Dacia Bigster.
It does.
And the MG
something.
HS, I think.
That's the one. But it's also available not just with a 1.6-litre petrol engine putting out 145 brake horsepower and 203 pound-foot of torque, giving you a 0 to 62 mile an hour time of 9.4 seconds. It will also come with a plug-in hybrid version priced from £29,995, which again is awfully affordable, which has a 1.5-litre petrol engine with 2 electric motors, 1 on each axle, and an 18.3 kilowatt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery. That will give 201 brake horsepower, 269 pound-feet of torque, and 0 to 62 in 8.5 seconds. More importantly, the car will be able to cover 56 miles under electric power alone, emits just 23 grams per kilometre of CO2 on average across WLTP tests. That places it in the 9% benefit in kind tax band for company car users from 2025 to 2026. That is quite good. In fact, that opens up a whole market for it.
It's very similar powertrain, the FEV side of things, to the Chery Tiggo 8 that I was discussing last week.
Well, yes. It says, actually, in this Autocar article, the Tiggo 8 uses the same powertrains, but prices have yet to be disclosed. So I think it's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit slower, obviously, because it's the 7-seat version.
Yep.
2 trim levels, Aspire and Summit. Aspire, it gives you synthetic leather upholstery. That's vinyl, everyone. Vinyl, like the 1970s. Dual zone air conditioning, adaptive cruise, and a 6-speaker Sony sound system.
That's not bad for just a fraction under 25 grand.
Summit gets 8 speakers, ventilated front seats, a heated steering wheel, and a hands-free boot opening. I don't know that, other than the ventilated front seats, I don't know that Summit's probably going to be worth it. But yeah, there we go. It looks
an SUV from a couple of generations ago.
Yes.
If you're thinking Hyundai Group particularly.
Well, it's better looking than a Jaiku.
Yeah, I'm not objecting to the looks at all. But it's not tearing up trees. It's not offensive. Difficult to be excited at the same time. It's just there. And I think that's generally what the Chinese manufacturers have done, to be fair to them. Generally, they've come in and been as inoffensive as possible.
Okay. You wouldn't be embarrassed to have it on your driveway, but it is very much a generic insurance company advert.
Yes.
SUV.
Yes, that's the phrase. That's it. Perfect.
Or architect's rendering of new housing estate.
Oh no, we could use real cars for that. And they were always remarkably
German,
top end BMWs, Porsches, Mercedes when it's going for affordable housing, which was brilliant work, lads.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to move us on.
Aspirational, mate. Aspirational.
Yes, that's it. In new car news now, to the Subaru Uncharted. No, nothing to do with the PlayStation game. They have basically reworked the Toyota CHR Plus, which we discussed a couple of months ago, I think now, which has impressive sounding tech, actually, to be fair to it. But Subaru say they have sprinkled their magic on the underpinnings so that it has signature ruggedness allied to dynamic agility, apparently. Okay. And it has a tough, compact character.
Oh, it's got sporty and nimble character as well elsewhere.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's got all the character one could possibly want. Well, we're scoffing, but yes, it actually does look a decent offering here, particularly as there will be a four-wheel drive version. And remember with Subaru, they are not trying to appeal to everyone.
Yes.
They are trying to appeal to people who need something that will require some off-road work, typically people who live in the countryside, but something that they expect to last for several years. They're talking with the single motor setup, which is a 77 kilowatt per hour battery, that you can get 363 miles on a charge. Twin motor drops down to 292. The 0 to 62 second on the twin motor is 5 seconds, which is silly, but it can tow up to 1,500 kilograms, which might be something that swings it for people.
This is the stuff that's important. That, the ability to climb a snowy track and to not break down.
Yeah. I would love to drive both back to back, the Toyota and the Subaru, to feel what the differences are.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be interesting.
Stuff like the Subaru gets the same sort of suite of driving modes as other Subarus and stuff, which I'm sure the Toyota won't get. Things like that. But it's reckoned that the entry-level Uncharted will come in with a sub-£40,000 price tag. and it will launch in the UK in early 2026. So worth keeping an eye out for that. That's very much something that interests me. That I like it a lot.
Anyway, do you want to move us to Kia, who seem to be on a relentless charge of revealing cars and details and information?
Well, yes, it was kind of revealed a little while ago. The EV4, remember, we talked about it in New Car News a little bit ago, and we said the hatchback will start at around £35,000 in the UK. But it's not just available as a hatchback, it's also available as a fastback. Whilst North America and stuff are only going to get the fastback, we'll get both here in Europe, or at least they'll be offered for sale here in Europe. The fastback starts at just under £41,000, rising to £45,395, but will only be available in the higher GT Line and GT Line S trim levels. It will also be sold exclusively with the larger of the EV4's 2 battery options, so this is not going to be the volume seller in this range. It is a little bit like Ford offering the Focus Saloon only in gear trim.
Or the Explorer and the Capri.
Well, yes.
Hopefully not quite like that.
Are they better looking than the Capri?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. There's some angles that it looks a little bit awkward, but again, we're only using press photos. And as Alan repeatedly reminds me and you, the listener, you need to see them in person first before making up your mind, because invariably you'll go, actually, that's not that bad, or no, my eyes are not melting, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the press photos are very heavily touched up. You can see that. In fact, I think at least one of the ones here is actually a rendering rather than a photo.
Yeah, that's what reminded me, yeah.
But yeah, it's a 4-door saloon as opposed to a fastback. It's 30 centimetres longer than the hatch, but it is phenomenal WLTP range. It's 380 miles, which is 18 miles more than the hatchback. And as with the hatch, you can charge 127 kilowatts, allowing 10 to 80% top up in 31 minutes. 210 horsepower to the front wheels, which gets you to 0 to 62 miles an hour in a very respectable 7.9 seconds. It's there, it's quick enough, and that means it has a long charge, unlike others who are going crazy. GT Line S, by the time you're there, you've got all the kit you'd ever need.
Absolutely.
It's not even worth listing it because it gets to the stage of relaxation front seats that fully recline with a single button press. That's the level of toys you're getting in there.
Yeah. Another car I'm looking forward to trying out, I have to say.
Yes.
Anyway, we throw off the dust sheet of the designer's mood board because it's been some time since we've been there. And we start with the news that Renault design chief Gilles Vidal is now going to leave Renault and go back to Stellantis. Remember in 2020, he left Peugeot to go to Renault. Now he's made all the Renaults look like Peugeots. He's going back to Stellantis to make all the Stellantis look like Renaults. I have my tongue firmly in the cheek. Everyone in the PR departments are listening to me. Don't be angry.
I was in France last week, and it's almost impossible to tell the difference between the Renaults and the Peugeots at a glance.
Yeah, I think you have to be round the back and see the slash in the lights, don't you? That's for me.
Almost. Without looking at the badge, then yeah. The thing is, it's not really a bad thing. There's an awful lot of very good-looking Renaults out there.
Yeah.
And that's before we even get on to stuff like the 5 and the 4.
Yeah, he has, I mean, this article talks about it, and they're quite right. He has overseen quite a remarkable change in the look of Renaults. How much input he had, particularly early days, I'm not so sure, but they are all good-looking cars now.
I imagine he had very little input into the ones that we joke looks like Peugeots, but much more input into the 5, the 4, and all these kind of ones coming through.
Yeah.
By the way, whilst we're talking about Renault, loads of Alpine in France.
Oh, that's good.
Some British registered, but I saw a whole bunch of A110s, and not all in a group either, as if they're on an A110 outing. A load of 5s. A load of Alpine badged 5s as well.
Oh, okay.
And some of the really cool wheels on the 5s.
All right.
Really nice. And I saw 4 on a Transporter, and I briefly saw one on the road as well. I love the rear lights on the 4 because they really do hark back to the original. Very cool. Sorry.
No, that's cool.
Let me just enthuse over some cars. I've been abroad. It's been a while.
Not sure why he's going back. Maybe it's something to do with Di Maio leaving the Renault group, possibly, because I think he was the chap who brought him in. Maybe, who knows? But anyway, he's going back and he's going to oversee Stellantis Design Europe. So we'll have to see what happens there. Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us a little bit north to Sweden?
Yeah, we're talking about people shuffling around in the Geely Group, and someone who's decided to shuffle out of the Geely Group is the Volvo design chief, Jeremy Offer. He's resigned after 2 years.
Well, decide? Or
I think he had an option, and his option was to leave, because this is part of Håkan Samuelsson's declaration that everyone has to work from the office in Gothenburg, etc., etc., etc. And he has been obviously commuting back and forth between Gothenburg and the UK. And he's tendered his resignation and says, according to the statement published in Car Design News, to spend more time with his family. So spending less time on the BA flight that goes direct to Gothenburg, I imagine.
Yep.
In the meantime, head of automotive design for Volvo, Nick Gronenthal, has been appointed as the brand's interim head of design. Håkan Samuelsson always seemed reasonable in the past, but the more statements I see from him recently, I just don't.
I wonder whether it's a person from a different age now. We've moved on.
I think there is a chunk of that. He's said that obviously we're talking about Thomas Ingenlath earlier on, and Samuelsson is saying that Ingenlath's input will be highly valued at Volvo and that he will help to coach its designers, and he can give me some tips on what I should do or not do, says Samuelsson, which sounds depressingly ominous.
Yeah. Anyway, finally, we have made it to points of interest. A packed show this week, everybody. Yeah, we've made it to points of interest, and we start this week with lunchtime watches. Sorry, it's a third week of videos, I'm afraid, everybody. I hope you're enjoying them. But this is because neither Alan nor I could make it to the Festival of the Unexceptional yet again.
I think for the last couple of years, I've had a decent excuse.
You were at least closer this time. However, no, you weren't, were you?
Yeah, I was, because I drove past. I was back here Friday night, but there was no way I was heading out on Saturday. So I'd done 2,000 miles in a week and accommodation and all sorts of stuff.
We're going to recommend the first couple of what I expect to be flood of videos that have come out. And the first one is from iDriver Classic and Steph. You get 56 and a half minutes of her going around the show with the things that catch her eye. But not only that, but we're going to recommend John Coupland's video as well. That's just there it's just as a little hint of what was going in the show. And
a mere 47 minutes from John. So
I know.
there will be.
He's slacking. So
there will be even more. Our YouTubes will be loaded down with these. But I like Steph and I like John.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put those in there. By the way, and just because we're not including your video, it doesn't mean I don't like you. Okay.
No, that is not the case. Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us on to the list of the week?
List of the week this week continues a theme, and it is Festival of the Unexceptional, because it's a fantastic source of content when there is very little other fun, light-hearted content around, because everyone's on holiday. And it is Autocars, highlights from the Festival of the Unexceptional 2025. I've just realized I'm introducing this, and there's only 14 slides.
No, I think we can do 2 with 14.
Can we do 2 with 14? Okay, well, the chances are that we've probably both picked the same one. So, Andrew, of the content of the 14 slides, which one did you choose?
Well, there was one I definitely wouldn't choose, and you can guess which one that is. But I have taken, if you can turn in your pamphlets to slide 12, I have picked the Seat Marbella Fun.
Yes.
Because I think that just encapsulates everything about Unexceptional. But I just love it.
I like that it's got really rusty wheels.
Yeah, it looks fab, and I just love the single wiper. I love so much about it. It's great.
It's also sitting there in front of Myrtle the Purple Turtle as well. Ex Ian Hubnut's Deumatiz, and a rather nice colour of Volvo 440, I think. My choice was slide 10 in your handouts, everyone, and that is the Peugeot 405 Estate.
I love the accessory.
I really like the 405. The accessory of the Peugeot Tandem on the roof is impressive too. But no, I like those 405s, and that looks like it's it's got SRI wheels, and so yes, quite a nice spec as well. And they're just such comfortable, lovely cars, and they look so good as well.
Yep,
massive fan of the 405.
Lots of choices on there. There's some stuff I didn't know about. There's a couple. There was one in there, the Peugeot one. The other Peugeot one I didn't know about as a thing. So there's some interesting cars picked.
Which one didn't you? Oh, that one is a thing. Oh no, I knew about that. Can we just quickly say congratulations to Simon Kowski, who won with his 1992 Skoda Favorite Forum, which is just he basically rescued it from a short trip to the scrapyard and restored it back to original condition. It's in fantastic nick. It is. I think Skoda Favorite's almost forgotten. So I think it's brilliant that won. I think a very worthy winner this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Says he even travelled more than 1,000 miles just for a set of the original headrests.
Wow, that's dedication.
That's the stuff that wins you Festival of the Unexceptional, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, okay, I'm going to take us on to the end finally. And there was the sad news in the last week that Sunsaku Tamiya has unfortunately died. But however, there is this lovely article in Haggerty that talks about how he rose within the company, or how the company was founded, what his dad did, and then how he rose within that and then moved it forward to the model car company, whether that's radio controlled or static models, and not just cars either. The company that we love today and has brought so much joy to so many people. A lot of adults as well. This is, it's not, model cars are not just toys. They bring a lot of pleasure to a lot of people.
Helped my sanity during COVID lockdown. The Yaris WRC is actually just here out shot. And then in, Massachusetts winters as well as a project.
Mm-hmm. Do click the link in the show notes to read this, because I'd forgotten about the town and how they had like the press kits of the model parts dotted around, and I just think that's a brilliant art display sort of celebration. Post
boxes and sculpture and history, all sorts of cool stuff. Really, it's a lovely little article.
Again, as ever, with all of the articles we've mentioned, and even if we forget to mention their name at the time, but every article that we refer to and we're discussing is linked in our show notes.
Absolutely, it's one of the things we're proud of doing, and it takes almost as long as recording the show in the first place. But yeah, you can always refer back to these. That's about it. Hopefully we'll be at a normal, sane time next week. I'll desperately be trying
for our patrons.
For our patrons, yes. We'll be recording at a normal, sane time. Otherwise, don't forget that between now and next week, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts for the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at motoringpodcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, and however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Semaphore?
The best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky, or I am on LinkedIn under my name. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Blue Sky is about the best, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley. We'll be back, as I've said, soon. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.